So I've been on a yogurt kick lately. It's a great way to incorporate probiotics and prebiotics into your family's life, into your own, to support your health and healthy microbiome and bacterial balance and all that stuff that I talk about all the time with people. But I don't do dairy. So a lot of people have lactose sensitivity or intolerance that is mediated by the bacteria in yogurt that has eaten and kind of pre-digested the lactose for you. For me, it's really kind of an inflammatory concern because I have a high potential or high risk for autoimmune disease based on my genetics and my own history of health concerns. I just avoid dairy and gluten both to reduce my risk of inflammation and to just support my body. And I don't really miss it because if you follow me on any of my social media pages or take my cooking class or my Whole Foods kind of makeover class that I'll be offering soon, you'll see that you can really enjoy really delicious food without cheese. I know for some of you that's like saying a bad word, no cheese in your life. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make a really, really simple coconut milk yogurt. These are the ingredients we need: coconut milk and probiotics. Ta-da! You're done. So because the culture for like a dairy yogurt is basically from whey, right? Or you can use a culture starter as well. I'm not going to want to use something like that in my coconut because for those people that really do have a true allergy to dairy or are, for ethical reasons, don't eat dairy or animal products, that would not work for them. So what we're going to do as our starter, as basically our bacterial, guys to start growing, is to use probiotics. So the one I'm going to use today is BioCult. And that's mostly because that's something that you guys can get over the counter. I have others that I prefer more, and when I work with clients to make things like therapeutic foods like this, I always make sure that we're being really specific about strain. So each health concern correlates with a specific strain. So if we're looking for weight reduction or weight loss resistance, we're going to pick a certain strain. If we're looking for gut healing and promoting healthy bacterial balance and because we suspect dysbiosis, which is just a fancy word for imbalance, we're going to pick a specific strain. If we're looking for mood alterations, if we're looking at brain fog or depression or any of those, we're going to be really intentional about what we grow. So when you're fermenting something just from scratch, like sauerkraut or something like that, you're not really picking what strains you get. But if you make this kind of coconut yogurt, you get to pick what you're enhancing in the yogurt. So this is a really simple one. I'm going to use 2 cans of full fat coconut milk. The fat is really important. If you buy one of these of just regular coconut milk, it's not going to thicken up and get that really good Greek yogurt kind of texture. It's going to be kind of runny. So if you do buy something in a Tetra Pak like this, make sure it's coconut cream. That's going to get our creamy factor. So you can use something like this if you want. I'm using canned coconut milk with BPA-free cans, which I'll post a link for you guys, because obviously we're going to all this effort to make this super healthy, awesome, nutrient-dense food. It's not that much effort, you guys. It's actually pretty easy. But we don't want to have BPA in there, and if you want to learn why, you can take my detox class. That's a lesson for another day. So I have 2 cans here, and I have 5 capsules of probiotics that I'm going to use for my 2 cans. You can use 2 to 3 capsules per can. What we look for in a probiotic that we're going to use in something like this is we need to make sure it's from a quality source. If the cultures aren't live in here, first of all, it's not doing you any good if you take a probiotic like that. And second of all, it's not going to ferment because there's nothing alive, so nothing's going to grow. It's going to just look like this at the end of my 1 to 2 days. So we're looking for diversity in the types of strains, right? I want to see at least 12 different strains, different types of bacteria, right? And then quantity. Quantity is what they call the CFUs, the colony forming units. We want to make sure that there's I should have got a whisk for this. We want to make sure that there's a really good diversity of quantity of these bacteria. So we're looking in the billions. We want to see a billions number of colony forming units for sure. So I have this really ridiculously impractical square glass that I'm mixing this coconut yogurt in because I've been making yogurt in like all kinds of different ways in the Instant Pot, in the slow cooker, on the stove, for videos like this for about a week, and all of my containers are full of yogurt. So lucky for me, we're gonna use some of our milk thistle granola to be a little mini cleanse for the liver that's totally safe for the kids, and have some yogurt parfaits for dessert tonight and get all our good bacteria. I won't get any, I'll have to wait for a day or two. So after we get this guy all really well incorporated and mixed in, I'm gonna put him in, this is a male yogurt apparently, just gendered my yogurt. I'm gonna put that in my mason jar, which is nice and clean and sanitized. And I'm gonna actually use a cheesecloth, folded over about 4 thickness, and cheesecloth is really thin. I'll post a link if you don't know what cheesecloth is or where to find it. And we're going to let this guy sit on the counter in a decently warm place, not in the direct sun or anything like that, but just so he can be kind of toasty and warm before, let's see how I do with this. Oh yeah, like a boss. Oh, perfection. For about 24 to 48 hours. Because we're not like, it's not like our other ferments where we need to get a good seal or anything like that. We just want to make sure no bacteria that we don't really want is going to be cultured in here. But I also want to leave a little bit of room for some normal cultures or some healthful commensal bacteria that could be just kind of floating around. So we don't really use metal when we're making yogurt. It wouldn't matter as much with this one because we've not heated anything up. I'll get a link to a good heated one that you have to use some like agar or whatever else in that. So we've got our dude in here. We've got the cheesecloth on the top. We've got our rubber band, our fancy rubber band. And that's really it. So I'm gonna let him sit. I'll take a video to show you the end product. Oh, he kind of looks like he could ride a camel. It's like a shepherd. I might put some googly eyes on this, and then we're gonna have coconut yogurt. 2 ingredients. We know what kind of strains we're getting, so if we were using probiotics as a therapeutic intervention, we just threw them in there, and then we're putting them in a food, which is awesome. And then because we have this cheesecloth option, if we want it even thicker, we can drain a little bit of the liquid when we get towards the end, but that'll be your next video. My little shepherd coconut yogurt has been sitting on the counter for 2 days. I checked it yesterday just to see what kind of level of yogurtiness it was at, and it wasn't quite tangy enough for me, so I left it for 1 more day. It's not very thick, I think, as you're gonna see. Whoa, sorry. So it's not very thick, and I got some little lumps in here, probably because I didn't mix it super good. But if you taste it and smell it, it's got the perfect yogurt tang. So for me, because I am going to be using it as a filler for my smoothies, as like a protein and probiotic addition to my smoothies, I don't mind it being thin. But the next batch that I make, I'm probably gonna add, at this stage, I'm going to add some agar flakes or some gelatin, or a thickener like arrowroot powder or something like that before I set it in the fridge. Now, it will thicken up more than this once it gets into the fridge for sure. It'll get thicker, but it actually tastes really good, and it doesn't have any sweetener or anything in it like that. So stay tuned. I'll be posting some other videos on, he's so cute. Some other videos on how to do an actual like heated coconut kind of cream yogurt that's going to be much thicker, and then I'll show you guys how to incorporate the thickener at the end of that process as well. So, all right, time for parfaits.